Ashley, you're new here.
Is this when I'm supposed to shut down the entire computer?
You're new here, and so we want to welcome you to the team. We're thrilled to have you.
Mm-hmm.
We think that you've done a fantastic job.
This is about to be a backhanded
And
compliment.
you think you're somebody who has kept the train on the track, and we really appreciate everything you've been able to do. There has been one thing though that you have not been able to experience, and it's honestly a shame. It's a shame. And it's just about time that we rectify that with the glorious return of
please.
free money!
No.
Free money!
This is terrible.
My college football picks against the spread. At 2, Ishmael?
Yeah. I'm keeping that going.
Free money, my college football picks against the spread. Okay, so here's where we're at. Okay, we have a bit of a controversy. Because last week, you'll remember, we didn't have a Thursday show because we were cooking. Because the air conditioning was broken.
A much better Thursday.
But it was not.
Than today's
It was
Thursday.
not working. So we weren't able to do free money. I did make picks. And I'm pretty sure, I would need to go back, but I'm pretty sure I went around 500, like plus or minus. But here's the thing. I did not announce them. And so we're going to pretend that week didn't happen.
So if you would have made if you would have guessed every pick correct,
if
you
I would
would
have
have
done like
counted
9-0,
yeah,
we might be having a
I
different
don't think that's how this works. I'm not a fan of this.
I went about 500. I would need to go back and check. But in any case, we're not going to count it. I stand at, by the way, week 2, I went 6-2. I stand at 16-2-1 on the year. 16-2-1. Things are going very good for us, and this week is going to be no different. Ashley, what is our first game this week?
Our first game is we've got, Houston at Tulane. Like you said, the Thursday night game, 7, and Tulane is favored by 5.
Yeah, Tulane's a 5-point favorite at home. By the way, something I learned today, Ullman Stadium. They have a stadium.
Yeah.
I thought they just played.
I seriously thought they still played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I thought so too. But they've opened Ullman Stadium. They've been playing there for a couple of years, which tells you how closely we pay attention to Tulane football. Tulane's off to actually a really, really solid start. They're 2-1 with wins over FIU, an impressive win over FIU, and then they beat Missouri State. And then probably their best result would be that they hung at Auburn. They won 24, or they lost 24-6 at Auburn. That's probably the thing that is most notable about them. The thing for me about Tulane is that their defense has been pretty darn solid all year long. Most specifically, this is a team that's got a pretty good secondary. Their secondary plays pretty well. They're able to stop their run a little bit. They're a team that relies on defense. The offense needs to run the ball. If they're not running the ball, then they're just kind of average. That's kind of the name of the game for them, is that they need to be able to run the ball. The name to know for them is their quarterback Justin McMillan, who's a running. Is that the same Cedar Hill?
That is
How
Justin
about
McMillan.
that?
Yeah.
Cedar Hill's Justin McMillan, Darius Bradwell, and then Corey Dauphine, another Texas product out of Port Arthur Memorial. They're going to want to run the ball. With all due respect to Justin McMillan, when they're throwing, that is not what they want to do. They want to be able to run the ball. For Houston, going on the road, underdogs in this one, which it's surprising, and I tweeted about this, but they have not been an underdog to Tulane since 2000 and boy, it's been a minute. Since 2003. But here's the thing. The thing is, though, and the reason that I'm going with the Cougs is that you go with the trend. Houston is 12-3 against the spread against Tulane since 2003.
Oh.
That is my thing. I also don't think – here's the other thing. I don't think Derek King's going to have 2 bad games in a row.
Sure.
He had a bad game against Wazoo. I think he's probably heard about it, and I think knowing the way that he's wired, he's probably thinking that we could have won that game if I had played better. I think he's going to go out there and put on a show. I like Houston, especially catching the points on the road. I'm going to take Houston +5.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think Houston needs this game more than Tulane, because I think if Houston loses this game, now we're really looking at a more disappointing season than I think anybody could have possibly expected for Houston. And especially that next week they have a huge game at North Texas, and
correct.
that puts them in panic mode, I think. And
yes.
So I don't think it's a shock that Houston is 1-2, but I think it's a shock that they look this poorly as a 1-2 team. So I think they're going to look for a very confident performance, and I just think they have the better athletes to be able to beat Tulane. I mean, I think they'll beat them outright.
I agree. I think they're going to beat them outright. I'll take the points though. I'm happy to take the points.
Sure.
So I'm going to take Houston +5. What's next, Ashley?
Up next is, let's see, it is number 8 Auburn at number 17 Texas A&M. A&M a 3.5 favorite.
A&M 3.5 catching this. And if you're unfamiliar with Auburn, it is it's last year was a Fire Gus year.
Right.
And so this is not a Fire Gus year.
Right.
It always goes one and the other. They have a down year, then they have an up year. This is the upswing, and they look really good. Especially defensively, their defense looks really good. Now, I think there's an argument. When they beat Oregon, that I think that turned a lot of heads. They beat Tulane, they beat Kent State. They haven't played anybody since then. This is their SEC opener for both squad. Or no, I'm sorry, A&M already went to Alabama. Right. Or I'm sorry, they already. Oh no, that's not true. I'm sorry, they went to Clemson. I get Clemson and Alabama confused all the time because they're
so. This is
good.
their SEC opener.
This is both their SEC openers. And this is an Auburn team that is almost entirely like they're a team that has one thing that's super duper duper good, and that is their front seven is monstrous.
They might have the best defensive line in the country.
Their defensive line's unbelievable, and so it's a huge, huge test for this A&M offensive line, which has looked okay,
like Aggies.
It's looked okay. They've looked okay, and they need to have a great game.
Right.
Plain and simple. They need to have a great game. Kellen Mond needs to have a bounce-back game.
Yeah.
A great game. And beyond that, the Auburn offense, I would say, is not a ton to write home about. Jatarvius Whitlow is their running back there, but they are starting a freshman quarterback in Bo Nix.
Mm-hmm.
You got to rattle that freshman quarterback.
Yep.
I'm sure Bo Nix is a good quarterback, okay? Yep. He's a good quarterback, and Gus Malzahn knows quarterbacks. But they have to get in the backfield. They have to rattle him. Yeah. They have to get that crowd around him. This is a game where you got to give that 2:30 p.m. crowd at Kyle Field something to cheer about to rattle this quarterback.
I was going to say this might because Oregon was at a neutral field. Kyle Field's going to be definitely the most intimidating environment he's seen so far.
Oh yeah,
Bo Nix.
I mean, where was the Oregon game? AT&T?
It was neutral. So
yeah,
AT&T. So
I think the Auburn A&M game last year was neutral too. Was it not?
No.
Was it not at?
No, that was at Auburn.
It was at Auburn. Okay. So so Bo Nix, true freshman quarterback, going to one of the toughest environments. When Kyle Field gets going,
right.
you really it's hard pressed to find tougher environments to play when they're really amped,
right.
when they're really going, when they get that touchdown and then third down stop on defense. Like that's where it's going to have to be. It's going to have to be through the power of Kyle Field. Shahan actually on Republic of Football brought this up with me. Kellen Mond's a different quarterback at home.
Yes.
Like he's a bad quarterback on the road, and he's a
been.
Good quarterback at home, and he's something about playing in the confines of Kyle Field in front of that stadium, in front of that crowd, gets him going, and it has to be a balance effect. You have to be able to. He has to be able to feed off it, and Bo Nix, they have to be able to rattle him.
It's got to start. It's two guys. It's the defensive line and the offensive line. That's it. That's the name of the game. Mm-hmm. And they got to get good Kellen Mond. I think it was a coin flip game. I was going to take whoever was catching points because I'll just take the advantage however I can. I'm going to take Auburn plus 3.5. I think there's a fair chance. I think A&M wins it, but I think this game's super close. I think it's like a 1-point game, so I'm just going to take the points.
I got Auburn, but I would not be surprised just because Auburn is there a more potentially combustible team in the country than Auburn every year?
Yes.
Like Auburn, what are they 3-0 right now? They could easily just finish 5-7 and that happened.
Yeah. What's next, Ashley?
Well, I will go War Eagle 10 out of 10 on that one, but that's besides the point. The next one is SMU, the Mustangs, heading right up the road to Fort Worth at number 25, and TCU is a 9.5-point favorite.
Battle for the Iron Skillet has not been this interesting in years and years.
This one's feisty.
It's fun. Look, I mean, ultimately, there are things that I love about both of these teams. Mm-hmm. I love the way that SMU's offense has a little bit of balance to it, and especially the running game, and not just because they got a crazy game from T.J. McDaniel last week, but because Xavier Jones has been great. Shane Buechele has been largely pretty good. He's got to take care of the football a little bit better, and TCU's going to come after him. I love TCU's defense, obviously. They looked great last week against Purdue, and I think that they are trending in the right direction. But I think that the TCU defense is the dominant force in this game.
Mm-hmm.
The TCU defense is the dominant force in this game, and as good as SMU has been offensively, they have come against defenses that are, I think, noticeably inferior to TCU.
Yeah.
TCU is going to be the best defense they've seen, and I think that as a result, I'm going to take TCU minus 9.5. I think that they cover that. I think it's about a 10-point game. I like TCU at home.
Yeah, I do too. I think this is a shut up or fine game from TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think this is honestly a game that
point.
if they win, if we look up and the scores 28-10, as TCU's gonna be shut up or fine. Like stop.
Yes.
We're talking about the quarterback. We can run the ball. We're gonna dominate on defense. We're fine. And I think this is a good chance to prove that because SMU looks really good. And if SMU comes out and wins, like obviously SMU is for real and they should be considered, a contender for the AAC. But yeah, I think this is a game where we're worried about TCU a little bit and we're hyped up on SMU, and I think those pendulums are going to swing back.
I think you're right. The thing for me is that the SMU defense has been largely pretty good against the run, but nobody's really tried to run on them.
Right.
Like, they've played a lot of passing teams. And so this is going to be a team that's going to have to run on them with Darius Anderson, Shewa Olanlua, and I think they're going to be able to. I like TCU minus 10, or minus 9.5, rather. What's next, Ashley?
All right, up next we have Baylor at Rice, 6 p.m. Saturday. Baylor, a 26-point favorite against the Owls.
So Baylor's going to win.
Yeah.
I think that's, hot take.
Fair to say.
I think Baylor's going to win. The question is going to be 26.
Yep.
And the one thing you say about Rice is that they have kept games pretty, within arm's length. Now, last week didn't go as well as they had hoped against Texas. But I also think that Texas is better than Baylor. And I think that, the question is going to be, can they find enough stops defensively? I think this Baylor team is cooking right now. And I think because they haven't played anybody, and by the way, they haven't played anybody in their weight class, and they're not playing anybody in their weight class for a while.
Yeah.
But people are overlooking just how good Charlie Brewer's been, just how good the running game with John Lovett and Treston Ebner has been, just how good these receivers have been. This offense is cooking right now. And for Rice, the offense just gives me so much worry that, look, let's say that the Baylor, or let's say the Rice defense goes out there and plays a really, really good game.
Sure.
And they hold Baylor to 35, right? That'd be pretty good.
Yep.
Rice would need to score 10.
Yeah.
And it's like, I hate to say it, it's like I don't know if both those things are going to happen. So
Right.
I'm going to take Baylor minus 26 on the road.
I'm going to take Baylor as well because the one thing that, even though Baylor's looked really good and they're against team they're supposed to look really good against, we haven't seen the Charlie Brewer game yet.
Yes.
It's been a very very balanced attack, and granted, you don't want to stress your quarterback if you don't need to, and so he hasn't needed to take over these games. But I still think they're going to the Iowa State's coming to town next week. Kansas State's coming up in 2 weeks. Tech it's a tough stretch after this game.
Yes.
And I want to see Charlie Brewer put up some numbers because he's going to face some teams that are going to shut down the run a little more, or Baylor's going to be trailing in the next couple of weeks at some point. They're going to need him to extend the offense a little bit, get more vertical, have more explosive plays. So I think Baylor covers, and the reason why I think is because Charlie Brewer finally has that big game where he maybe throws for over 300 yards.
I think that's fair. I like that a lot. Okay. What's next, Ashley?
Up next, we have Georgia State taking on Ish's Bobcats, 6 p.m. Saturday. Texas State favored by 3. Ooh, he does not sound confident in this one.
Texas State laying
What
some
was
points at
that?
Bobcat
Yeah.
Stadium. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's the typical
buddy.
home field advantage
It's
spread.
a coin flip on a neutral site.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you want me to start on this one? Or do you have
Of course I
something
want you to start on
okay,
this
sure. Basically, my take on this game is if Texas State can't move the ball against Georgia State, their season's done.
Wow.
Georgia State
That is to the point.
I believe, 129
They're bad.
in S&P,
This
defensive
is a
S&P.
bad Georgia State team.
Yeah.
Texas State is not
And keep
going to be
in mind
favored
that-
against a lot of teams this
Right,
year.
right.
But there's a reason they're favored in this one. Not only because they're home, but yeah,
It's a bad Georgia State team. That's it's bad defensively, and yes, they beat Tennessee, but Tennessee is something else this season. They're we cannot be looking at this Georgia State team as they beat Tennessee. It's no, they looked really bad. They've looked really bad in every other game. If Texas State can't move the ball, even just no matter who's at quarterback, if it's Vitt, if it's Jensen, if Brady McBride gets a last-minute waiver and he comes in the game, he's not. But if that happens, if they can't move the ball, Jalen Gibson, please, Jalen Gibson, something. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback. If they can't move the ball, if they can't run the ball, they're not moving the ball this season.
Yeah.
Like, this is the worst defense, maybe along with Coastal, that they're going to see. the excuses are gone. They're not playing SMU. They're not playing A&M.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not playing Wyoming, even though they should beat Wyoming. They're playing teams that they're better than,
Mm-hmm.
and I think this is going to define their season in a good or bad way.
Texas State is 121st in total offense right now.
Yep.
They have got to get it in gear, and I think Jake Spavital has lit a fire under them and told them, boys, I think exactly that same thing, which is,
boys,
if it doesn't happen here, it may not be happening.
Right.
So I think you're going to get an inspired. I'll say this. I think being a night game helps.
Sure.
Being a night game, get that crowd a little rowdy, so to speak.
Yeah.
Is there alcohol in
Yes,
Marcus?
there's alcohol out in the stadium.
Oh,
So
Bobcat Stadium's going to be rocking. Texas State brings home the win. I like Texas State -3.
Cool.
What's next, Ashley?
All right, up next, Cowboys headed down to DKR at 6:30 on Saturday. Texas is favored by 6.
Yeah, a really interesting game, and I think just a Rorschach test on what you think of what you've seen from Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Because Oklahoma State has been, I think, very surprisingly, really, really good so far.
Kind of low-key, really awesome.
Yes, low-key, fun to watch.
Yep.
They're 3-0, but you could also say they've beaten Oregon State. That's great value Oregon.
Right.
The Beavers.
McNeese State, and then they actually scuffled last week at Tulsa a little bit and had to pull out I think they might have been down at halftime.
Right.
But that game was really close at halftime, and they ended up pulling away. Now they go on the road to the number 12 team in the country in Texas, who looked really good last week. If you are unfamiliar, our most special boy, Mr. Texas Football Player of the Year from 2016, Spencer Sanders, 17. Spencer Sanders is their quarterback, and he's been lighting it up.
Yep.
He's been great. Who would have thought? Who would have thought that Spencer Sanders would be great? He's been excellent. They've been running the ball really well with Chuba Hubbard. This is a really good team offensively.
Yeah.
I think their defense might suck. I think their defense might be like low-key bad, which is kind of a Mike Gundy thing to do.
Right. It's like, who cares?
Is have like a really good offense. And so that is, again, this is going to be a test for this Texas secondary to show up and have a big game against a talented quarterback. But this is a big test on the road, although they did go to Oregon State, which is weird. I think I like Texas in this one. I think Texas is going to cover the 6. The numbers, I think Bill Connolly's taken Oklahoma State, but his numbers do not like Texas.
That's true. Yeah. Even last year, his numbers were very
We're just very bearish on
very
bearish on Texas. I think Texas at home, night game, ABC. I think Texas gets up for it. I like Texas -6.
Yeah, I like Texas as well. My only concern is with Texas's defense. After granted they had a good bounce back against Rice, but the last time they played an explosive offense, it's still a young secondary. Tylan Wallace might be the best receiver in the country. Oklahoma State, this is basically on par with what they're going to see the rest of the year in the Big 12 Conference, right? You got Tech, you got Oklahoma, you got Baylor, right? You're going to see these high-powered offenses. This defense might be in for another wake-up call. And I mean, Texas is going to win this game based on their offense, basically, was what I'm saying. But if they can force Spencer Sanders into a couple of mistakes here or there, this game's always weird. Texas-Oklahoma State's always one of the weird games, just because neither team really plays. The favorites never really play up to their favorite status. They always seem to play down to the other. But I like Texas as well. I think this should be – I still like them. I still think this is a special year for them, so I'm going with them.
I like it. I like that. I think that's very good. All right, what's next, Max? Max. Oh, my gosh, I did it.
Woo!
Ashley, what's next?
Hello.
Habits die hard.
It's going to be tough.
Up next is
I've only said it 100,000 times.
UTSA heading up to the beloved Apogee Stadium for 6:30 p.m. Saturday. UNT favored by 19. Go
This
Green.
is real easy, okay? This is real easy.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think this is real easy. UTSA ranks 124th in the nation in yards per pass allowed.
Yeah.
And that includes a game against Army. North Texas.
Ooh.
I'll take the 19. I'll lay the 19.
Here,
I have my issues with North Texas. I think their defense, and especially their rushing defense, is pretty bad,
right?
And a problem. And if UTSA is able to get out and run the ball, that's going to be their best option. But I think every time North Texas has the ball, they should be able to light up what's been a pretty mediocre to bad UTSA secondary. I like North Texas.
I picked North Texas until Shahan brought this up to me.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
So they've played, since Seth Luttrell's been there, they've played 3 times, not including this year. 2016, 2017, 2018. I think 2016 was the one year where UTSA was better. I think that was their first bowl year under Frank Wilson.
And then the drive.
Right. And that was 2017. So 2016, North Texas loses 31-17 at UTSA. 2017, that was when I think we thought, okay, UTSA was ahead, right? And that was, as Ashley puts it, the drive. Great game at Apogee Stadium. 29-26, North Texas. Last year, we thought North Texas was significantly better than UTSA.
True enough.
Final score, 24-21.
True enough.
That was in San Antonio, so that's my one hang-up. But these games haven't been blowouts. I don't know. I think there is a regional rivalry thing with this. I think that
there is.
Yeah, so I think this as far as in the conference goes, I think this is 2 of the closest teams to rivals I think they have.
Right.
And so I'm actually gonna switch my pick from what I picked on Republic of Football.
Okay.
I think UTSA covers. I think North Texas wins, but UTSA covers.
Okay, that's compelling. You make a good argument. I'm sticking with North Texas. I just think that the offense is going to get into gear against what's been a pretty lackluster
North
UTSA
Texas
team.
plays just light years better at home too than they do
That
on
is
the road.
true. That is true.
They are terrible on the road the past couple of years.
That is
and
true.
Maybe on
We
the
will
road.
see.
But up next,
Finally, wrap it up, Ashley.
we have Nevada at the Miners, 7 p.m. Saturday. Nevada favored 15.5.
Is this game on TV? I need to
Probably
look this up.
Conference USA Network or Stadium.
We're gonna go to
Why would it be?
This game is on ESPN 3.
Yes, another
It is
Conference
a
USA
beautiful
favorite.
7 p.m. kick from the lovely Sun Bowl in El Paso.
I have a question before you go. Nevada has 1 loss on this schedule. On their schedule, don't look it up. It's to Oregon. Can you guess the score of that game?
Did they lose like 70-0?
77-6.
Oh my God!
Oh, jeez.
So
yes, they did.
They're 2-1,
Goodness
but their 1
gracious.
loss is 77-6.
By the way, they beat Purdue too.
Yeah, they
So
don't.
So the issue for the issue for Nevada, if you're unfamiliar with the Wolfpack, their defense is god awful.
Yeah.
And even in their wins, they beat. But here's the funny thing. Their defense has been largely pretty bad, right? Not just because they gave up 77, but just overall the metrics are not good.
Yeah.
But then last week, they go and they play Weber State at home and they win.
Weber.
It
is Weber.
What's the name?
Tomato.
What's the name of my grill? Is that Weber?
I just know that's where Damian Lillard went, and it is Weber.
Weber State. They play Weber State 19-13. Okay. Because the other thing is that this offense has not been very good. They're playing a freshman quarterback in Carson Strong.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of sophomores that are carrying the load for this team. They're going to UTEP, and look, UTEP they've been bad. There's no 2 ways around it.
Yep.
Okay, UTEP is not going. It's not going great, and part of the reason is that look, they're a team that is still searching for an identity, and most importantly, the offense I think has been a little bit better.
You got to wonder if this is the week that they finally take the reins off of Kyle Oxley and just give him the offense, because he hasn't started. I don't think he's come in the games, but I don't think he's started yet. And I'm wondering if this is the game where it's just like, you know what? Yeah, this offense might be better with you.
I agree.
So
I hope that's the case. I hope that's what they do. Here is what I will say about this game. UTEP is coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
Okay? They got the rest advantage. They're at home. This is a big game in El Paso.
True.
I'm taking UTEP plus 15.5. I think the Miners beat that spread. I think they probably lose.
Sure.
But I think it's like a 10-point game.
Okay.
And every year at the Sun Bowl, they play one weird game where it's like way closer than people think. This is my call. I think they're gonna cover it. I think I like UTEP minus or plus 15.5.
Cool. Yeah, I don't. Nevada's covered. Nevada's covered.
That's a neat.
Cool.
That's a neat thing. I don't know. I think that they've got a chance to be. Let me see if I can find this real quick. But I was going to look up their. God bless it. You're listening to live coverage of me trying to look up a statistic. I know. Hold on. But they're since 2018, which is when Dimmel showed up. With a rest advantage, They are 2-1 against the spread. That doesn't
Sure.
tell you anything.
I was about to say that's they played 3 games.
Yes.
Sample size.
Yes. I don't know. I think they're going to cover.
You just believe in the Miners.
I believe in the Miners.
Okay.
I choose to believe in the Miners. I choose to be a homer.
Sure.
I'm gonna take that. So
Sure.
my
Not me, but you,
my-
you do that.
Me neither.
my free money picks. I like Houston +5 at Tulane tonight. I like Auburn +3.5 at A&M. I like TCU -9.5 at home against SMU. I like Baylor -26 at Rice. I like Texas State -3 at home against Georgia State. I like Texas -6 at home against Oklahoma State. I like North Texas -19 at home against UTSA. And I like UTEP +15.5 at home against Nevada.